involved in helping a woman that went through similar. I was a DV victim, I'm now a victor, but to see her fresh going through what she was going through at one, it was like, let's help her, what can we do? And she's amazing. So now she caters for many of our events. We've got her involved more in the LA community and the Ugandan community so that she's involved in almost any event that's going on. She's got some kind of food there. Then we have the Bernice Project. We're involved with them. We're partnered with the Bernice Project, which is for domestic violence victims. I gotta look at my notes. We were established in 2015, and Bernice stands for, or it actually means victor, and that's why we decided we wanted something that meant victorious, and we were going to be in. So we try with Bernice to provide education incentives, financial training. A lot of DV victims don't have the knowledge or skill of budgeting their own banks and stuff, because that's part of abuse, is the husbands don't allow the women to have that access, you know. So then when they get away from it, we need to teach how to budget, how to be employable and ready to get employment and go out and back into the world. And so we do those things. We provide mental health counseling for the women and their children to help them re-access back into the world and in not survivor mode anymore. Because being in survivor mode, you don't live, you just survive. And nobody wants to just survive their whole lives, you know. So that's our big thing with Bernice. We're trying to set up a lot of different partnerships with different organizations to make people aware, to bring, get rid of the stigma that a woman that is in an abusive relationship is dumb or stupid, or why does she stay, you know, because really there's so many factors that cause women to stay, or men to stay in a situation. They don't know how to get out. So it takes a real warrior to step out of that and say, I can do this. Yeah, so we want to be those people that back those warriors up and say, yeah, you can, and I'm right here to step you up. Sorry, I get emotional when I talk about that, because it's something I personally have been through. And then, this is just a list of some of our partners that we've created in the last 2 years. Gosh, it's so great. TechSoup is a network partnering with us. They have access to over 1 million nonprofits, and I was actually going to talk to Peter and Susan about you guys should get in touch with them, because they definitely will help in any way they can, and they do great stuff. They offer classes, they offer trainings in all kinds of different tech matters, that from basic level, like, because back when I was in school, we didn't have computers until my senior year is when they got introduced into our school. So, you know, so they take any age group and will train you, show you how to do everything, and they take kids. So that's really great. I love the TechSoup network that we're involved in. The Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation partners, they're trying to help with housing, which is a really big deal in LA County if you've ever been. We have a huge homelessness problem, and what's crazy, and a lot of people don't realize this, you know, I hate to say it, but I've even been guilty of judging homeless people. You see them and you're just like, oh, they're just lazy, they don't want to get a job, they don't want to, you know, they're on drugs, blah, blah, blah. But after doing research, I realized that in the last 5 years, 45% of the people that became homeless are families, working families like you and I, that have just, because inflation has caused housing to be so ridiculous that nobody can afford to rent. You know, so then here's mom and dad, and they're panicking, what do we do? And they end up living in hotels, you know, and then after that, that gets so expensive they can't do it anymore. And it's a gradual, it's not just they're homeless. You know, they go from you know, maybe long-term stay hotels, then it's to weekend stay hotels, and then before you know it, they're living in RVs or camp trailers or couch surfing from family members, you know, and it breaks my heart to see that. And so with LAEDC, they're definitely helping with trying to, that's part of the position as director is to try to help find a sustainable housing for low-income people. And so that's a great corporation to be partnering with. The California Jobs First Collaborative is another one we're really working with, training people. So especially if you're a displaced home worker, you know, there's a lot of them. There are people that have worked in one environment and then that has shut down for whatever reason, and so now they've only worked in manufacturing, you know, cars or whatever for years and years and years, and now that plant shut down. What are they going to do? They're not trained in anything else. So with that, we're able to help offer, you know, some tech training courses or some hospitality training courses, give them another route so that they don't feel like it's a dead end. The California Forward is kind of a new thing. I haven't even got to go. We're having there's a great big, huge event in October, so I'll learn a lot more about them. But they're a nonprofit that's pushing to get California more in the advanced position of helping more people and providing more education and assistance for nonprofit organizations. Because I'm telling you one thing, just being involved in it for 2 years, finding grants is ridiculously hard. You apply for 1,000 grants and you might get 5 responses. And others, they don't even let you know you didn't qualify. They just don't say anything. You have to keep badgering them until they say, oh, you didn't qualify. Thanks. You know, it's like, so, let's see. Our foundation for financial planning partners, we have a bunch of pro bono licensed financial planners that have volunteered to help educate us on how to financially plan for saving money for retirement, for randomly get injured and can't work. You know, there's all kinds of different things that even just balancing a basic bank account is things that they don't teach in school anymore. It's really discouraging to me because I had to teach all my kids, and I was like, my parents didn't teach me that. They just said, learn in home ec, you know, and we had to go to home ec, and the home ec teacher taught us, so this is a checkbook, this is what you do, checks and balances, positive, negative, you know, value. But now they don't offer that program in high school. Not even in high school. So these guys they teach it, and they go to even their youngest, I think we're allowed to accept is 11 years old. And I'm like, that's amazing. These kids at 11 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old are learning about interest rates, credit cards, variable interest rates, stuff that we should have learned at young, because then my credit would have been 800 right now, you know? but these kids are learning it now, so that by the time they're 21, 22 years old, they'll actually be able to know, oh, I need to invest this, and I'm not going to blow my money on that. Sorry, I'm kind of trying to go as quickly as I can. Oh, Department of Labor partners. Now, I was actually going to talk to you about, we partnered with a bunch of different organizations that are training academies, short-term training academies, which is amazing for people that are at lower income. They can't afford to, you know, put their life on hold and not work for 2, 3, 4 years to go to school, but a training academy that is free is amazing. And you're getting on-the-job training at the same time you're going to school. And Empower is one of them that we're partnered with, and they have one here in Dallas. I just was looking it up when you were talking, so I was like, this is something that it should be made. And I can't believe that they are not as well known. Like, people don't know about these organizations that offer free, quick, you know, tech training. School, we have one for hospitality, the Hospitality Training Academy. I don't know if we have one, if there's one here in Texas, but over there is. But those kind of places really are not as used as they should be. Because if kids knew, hey, you don't have to go to college for 4 years if you're not up for that, if you don't want to. There's training academies, there's tech schools that'll get you through in as little as, like, I think the shortest program is 6 weeks. 6 weeks, and you could have a digital, you know, an analyst position or something like that, you know, and it's like, this is quality information. Empower is the one I was just talking about. They're a tech company, and there's actually one based here in LA. And Empower's, they train anything that's tech, they can do it. or they can teach you how to do it. So I really admire, and they're free. They have a lot of programs that work around your schedule, and I know that in LA anyways, they have a lot of virtual programs, so you don't even have to be on campus. And I was actually talking to the delegate who was there at our last event about wondering if we could do that in Uganda. I was like, if you guys can do this virtual, why can't we take this to Uganda? Like, how can we make that happen? And she goes, well, let's work it out. Let's figure out a way. So I was like, oh, then the national initiative is, the national initiative is we're teaching, well, I'm not personally, so I shouldn't take credit, but we're sponsoring a young lady that is teaching young children the Ugandan culture, how to dance, how to do all these amazing things, and why they do the things that they do. And I'm just impressed with her because the girl that's doing it is working really hard to make sure kids can go even if they don't have the funds to pay for the program, and she'll go and pick them up, and this young lady's really working hard to make her stuff move. So, I'm sorry, there's some things that one of my big projects that just hits my heart really heavy is we have the Solway Island project, and I was going to when I saw how these are living there, and I was like, this is something we need to help with, and I was a really big part in the drive for this. We did a Christmas drive, and we started in like September and collected everything we could think of to donate. Sit down with you.
Tree mapping, and I was given internship with one of the organization that is handling carbon tree farming. That is one of the organizations that trained me on how to do the tree mapping online and on internet, that you can map trees and you'll be able to see trees on real time. That's simple about me, and I went to study my environmental science at the Texas A&M University, Commerce. So my presentation today is about climate change mitigation. I'm on slide number 1. We start by defining what weather and climate is, because that's what drives our climate. I know most of us already know the definition of weather. It's a day-to-day condition of an atmosphere, and it's driven by the sun and the earth rotation. And it comes with its elements like the humidity, temperature, and precipitation. So let's look at the definition of climate. Climate is simply weather studied over time, and it could be for years and millions of years. So accumulation of weather makes what we call now climate. I hope somebody get it there. And let's go straight to the definition of climate change. The definition has been given according to the Framework Convention of Climate Change, that the FCCC. Climate change is a change attributed directly or indirectly by human activities. What are some of the human activities that are labeled here? Burning of fossil fuel. We use fuel every day. That is emitting out carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. That causes changes in climate. Possible causes of climate change. We have talked about human activities, fuel that we burn every day. And fuel gives us what we call the greenhouse gases, which we are going to look at it in a minute. I'm on there where there's greenhouse gases. The next slide.
Yes, so we're going to read it anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Greenhouse gases. These are gases that causes solar radiation, sun radiation, to be trapped into the atmosphere. We know that sun emits a lot of radiation into our planet, but most of it got reflected by water. Most of the radiation got observed by trees, but some of it's supposed to be reflected back by cloud. But what happened is these greenhouse gases trap them and making our environment, our planet warmer. It's supposed to be beneficial to us because it keeps us warm, it keeps our environment warm. But too much of it is not beneficial. Warming the climate too much causes so much that we are going to learn about it right now. Let me give you some of the examples of those greenhouse gases. Number one is carbon dioxide, that we all know. Methane is one of them. And CFC, chlorofluorocarbons. These are gases that are used in air conditioning to cool your houses. And then we have the ozone. The ozone is in the stratosphere, the highest part of our planet, of our Earth. There are levels starting from down the tropos to the stratos, to the exos, to the mesos. So within it we have ozone. Ozone is supposed to protect the direct sunlight that hits our planets and protect us from the UV light. So that gas like the CFC depletes the ozone. And that's why people suffer from skin cancer and the rest of it, because that's not maintained. Then we have also nitrous oxide, which is part of also the greenhouse gases. And among all those, carbon is one of the biggest cause of climate change, our global warming, because if you see here, 56% of it is carbon dioxide. Let's look at the effects of climate change. We have extreme weather event. Example of those extreme weather events, we have tropical cyclones, we have drought, long period without rain, we have melting of the ice, and so far, if we look at the report that given in 2014, 2.6 increase above the 1993 average. So we're looking at places that are used to be really, really cold. On satellite, the ice are melting at a very alarming rate. And cities, countries, places that are along the coast, they are suffering because of flooding. The sea level rise and causing flooding, and you can talk about the hurricane wind and so forth. All those come as a result of sea level rising. And we have wildfire, because when the earth is too warm, causes dry spell, and that is very easy for places to burn. That's one of the effects of climate change. We have air pollution. I think most of you may be monitoring the air of a place. I don't know, very few in Texas that you can have at least, I've never experienced, I experienced one, that you wake up in the morning, they say you cannot do your daily activities because the air outside is not good for you to carry out with your activities because of the particle inside, the particle in the air, that your body system cannot excrete them. Your body system cannot stop them from entering into you and causing you a lot of sickness, especially if you already have an underlying condition. We have diseases. We have heard about the outbreak of mosquitoes. Mosquitoes do well in warm condition. And we have people forcibly displaced from their homes because of bad weather conditions, because they cannot survive, fruits cannot grow, and people are forced to move to another places. And there is increased anger and conflict due to resources being depleted, like you can't get enough food and sometimes water and fighting for land. That's an example of a lady that was displaced in a camp that is under UNHCR. She's called Dorothea. She's a Burundian. She moved to Mozambique and she was trying to water her sweet potatoes. And that's a sign that even where she moved, because she was affected by a tropical cyclone, where she went, she was still also having the same kind of problem. There was drought where she ran. So it's affecting Africa and everywhere. Let's look at the climate change mitigation. We cannot stop climate change, but we can only try to reduce to a certain level. And according to the UN Climate Change Conference that was held in December 2015, that is in Paris, they came up with few resolutions to finance countries that could not easily adapt to the changing climate change. And countries that are put number one, those are developing countries that are facing a lot of challenges when it comes to climate change. Providing them with technologies they can be able to adapt to the changing environment or climate. And then focusing on capacity buildings. And they are able to fund projects that are targeting capacity building on any issues concerning climate related. And adaptation of international climate policies under the Kyoto Convention that was formulated in 1997 with the framework to force the industrialized nation to reduce their carbon emission by 2050 to a net zero, which the goal that they're working on. UADC. What are our goals as UADC on climate mitigation? We are opening tree planting project in Africa, which I'm championing it. Our goal is to distribute trees the way our president has explained before. We already have a nursery bed that are ready to start distributing seedlings to the local community next year, 2025. We are working hand to promote the protection of wetland. Why do we focus on wetland? Because wetland acts as a carbon sink. And when we destroy the wetland, we are equal yearly basis. What could be the cause? They need to be empowered with a better technology to adapt to the drought, long period without rain. And also they do overstocking of their livestock. That's why they need some management on how to go about not only on numbers, but on qualities of the livestock that they could really have. And we are dedicated as UADC to advise and encourage members to save on energy. Walking if you can, bike if you can, carpool, drive with other person, the use of solar, energy efficient bulb, and appliances that can make you save a lot of electricity. That's our aim, so that we can reduce on our carbon footprint. And I've just mentioned carbon footprint. I know carbon footprint is something that has to do with what are your consumption, what are your level of use, how much carbon do you think you're emitting on the planet indirectly. And if you travel a lot with the airline, and you know how much an airline can emit, because we need to learn how to calculate on how much carbon we're emitting, so that we know what exactly our footprint on the planet. And how can we do it? There is an app or a website that you can log in, and you type in your information, how much, what's the size of your room, and you'll be able to get your net carbon emission by yourself, how much you do, and then you can see how you can regulate. Some people will say, I'm not going to eat meat anymore because cows or livestock is producing more of methane as greenhouse gas. So that's a choice that you might want to make. It's all depend on how much you want to save this planet. In conclusion, UADC is committed to working with various stakeholders, universities, government, and other non-governmental organizations to ensure that we achieve sustainable development goals while addressing the following issues. Number one, climate change causes and the effect of climate change. We also want to focus on helping people to control on what they do as far as air pollution is concerned, advice on shifting to a clean energy, and we promote international climate policies that aim at cutting down emission of greenhouse gases, promote technology that aim at helping developing countries adapt to the climate change, encourage members to subscribe on the saving and solar companies, promote tree planting and wetland protection, recycling of waste, and other renewable resources that we can. Members, thank you so much for giving me your time, and I've come to the end of my presentation. We expect questions later. Thank you.
I know about the scholarships. Patrick somehow had some inside information, so he didn't share with me. But one of the big things about sports in the country is an overwhelming indulgence in a lot of folks. It covers almost everybody. So if you guys know, when some of these athletes of ours are running, even when they're training, you know, kids run alongside them. You know, when they're winning, we feel like we're winning with them. When they're running for Olympics, for example, so it draws a lot of passion from individuals. So the other thing, though, there's a lot of advantages for the country if it engages the youth in sports. So I'm going to go through some of them real quick, and I'll tell you what we're going to do for you Uadc. So the advantages are many. People become healthy, right? For me, I really go to the gym every other day. Healthy guy, you can see me. It employs people, a lot of opportunities in employment. Actually, as I'm telling you this stuff, I'm going to be telling some stories. So, because I was really good at some of these things, I taught Green Hill Academy from nursery school all the way to S6, swimming. So I was one of their coaches. We're only two guys. The other guy is gone up to the Warmer. So I think he's still there. But I taught, as a young guy, when I was in S5, I taught Green Hill Academy, all those kids, all the way to S6. So employment, they used to give me money when I was in university, I was taking money. I took it for granted because already I family had money, right? So tourism and investment, huge, right? When you have these big Tonys, like we're going to have the East African, the African Cup. We're building now stadiums in Ghana and across East Africa. Huge, a lot of people are going to travel. In fact, I see some skits from comedians, they say you gotta be in East Africa at that time. It's going to be huge. So a lot of money comes from tourism and investment, all the stadiums. Talent export, people come from these countries and it's everywhere. Even basketball is here, they go to Europe or China play. Same thing for our guys. It's huge for us. Infrastructure and community development, we just talked about infrastructure. Community, huge. I'll talk about it later. Of course, education and social skills building. So who's engaged in sports? That's the next slide. So a lot of people are engaged. Government, National Council of Sports, in fact the chairman is a buddy of mine. Uganda Olympic Committee, different sports associations and federations, education institutions, NGOs, and national partners. That's where we come in as Uadc, as international partners. So, as international partners, I was going to have Patrick tell his personal story, but that's okay. Maybe I'll just summarize it. Patrick came here on a sports scholarship for basketball, and you see what has happened to him now. He's now leading this organization. This is what some of the things do. So other people in the community actually came here on soccer scholarships, right? And he's talking on that part. I'm just saying, I have that on you. You guys didn't tell me some of the things. So, some famous guys like Josh Chegay and Jacob Kiplimo, they got scholarship in Europe. This is household name, right? Halima Naka, remember the Halima and her friend Nanyonjo, right? You remember those ladies? They said 200-meter sprinters. Olympics, they go to Olympics, right? These girls, she got an international athletic scholarship, that's Halima. And Nanyonjo went here to school, including also Dorcas a joke. They came here to college on scholarships. These ones have gone on to become international stars, and we follow them very closely. So sports is huge in our country, and evoking emotions, getting us as a nation, getting us the nation in Uganda, just that national pride is huge. And you Americans, we know that here, how we get our national pride through sports, right? And the rivalries are huge, all the way from high school to college, our professional teams. And the other thing I want to talk about is, what's the next slide? So I went through this is the next one, entrepreneurship. So the key players, right? So some we don't think about these things very. Sometimes you don't really think about the key players, right? But we have the teams themselves. In fact, we had invited Dennis Osukol. He used to own a basketball team in Uganda. He was going to talk to us about what he wants to do, what he did before there, and what he wants to do with the team, supporting them as part of this organization. But the teams make money and they support the players. The private sport academies. I have another friend of mine, it's called Anthony Mindra. Him and his dad, I don't know if you guys know Mindra. They used to manage those UPC, the party UPC, the buildings. And then Uganda House belongs to UPC, right? So the gentleman who used to manage those properties, his son used to live here, and he used to live in Boston and San Diego. He went to school in both places, but they have a boxing academy. We want to partner with them to see what we can do with boxers. I boxed a little bit. During the holidays, I used to go to Colorado. We used to spar with a bunch of folks there. He used to get beat up. I wasn't really good at it. so I dropped that one. So there's a lot of money in sportswear and equipment and talent development. A big thing on talent development. The NBA actually has opened up a branch in Africa where they're scouting for folks and also developing talent. So they partner with the local teams to develop the talent. We want to see how we can partner with them in one way or another, especially the local teams there, to make sure they're engaged in some of these initiatives. We already have people we're working with. So next one. So about patriotism, I wanted to say exactly patriotism. We talked about that already. Let's just keep going real quick. I want to see what we're going to do. So let's keep going down all the way. That's all the way. Okay. So goal sports is very important for us, right? In terms of what it does in the nation. We want to be very engaged in this area. And we want to do a few things. The one Patrick talked about, we have some coaches coming from Uganda, and the kids here will play basketball. So we want to partner with them, and they select some of these kids to play for a national team. It happens. You can have national, if you do nationality, you can choose what country you want to play for. And sometimes it's very hard to play here in the NBA anyway, or to represent the country here. So you give them an opportunity to actually represent the country. And actually brings the country to a higher status because the kids are really, really good. If you want to partner, we're going to make that partnership. We're going to bring them here. This is something we're doing. It's our initiative of Uadc. We're bringing them here, and we're going to bring the kids in the communities. They're going to show their talent, and these coaches will select who can actually play for the Uganda national team. It's a big thing, guys. And then the other one, we talked about this, and we identify the basketball team, and we don't know what we want to do first. We do this. Me, I'm a basketball player, so whenever I go to Uganda, I carry those guys. I carry things for them: sneakers, jerseys, whatever they want. I usually carry basketballs, right? Just give them to teams. I do that on my own. So as Uadc, we can do a lot more, right? Because I know some of you guys also do some of the things, so we can do a lot more. So we want to partner with a team. We haven't selected it yet, and we want to develop that team. And I've been talking to Dennis about his old team. There are some issues there. We're trying to identify a team that we can partner with, and we develop that team. We also try to get some of that talent development, make it supported. The other thing we want to do, very importantly, and I've done this in my own life. So I've helped kids go to college here. Some of them come. You know this, when you don't know, you don't know. You find a guy who went to school, he came from University of Kenya, but they're just driving taxis or doing odd jobs, right? They don't know they can go back to school. This happened back in the day a lot. So I used to help these guys funnel their energy into schools. A lot of them, I don't know how many people I've helped in this. And then when I was president of Uadc, I found out in Minnesota there was a gentleman who used to have actual scholarships, taking kids to some colleges. And I thought fund a lot of people through him to take them into colleges. I don't know how many people, but those programs are still going on. We're going to do that as Uadc. It's very important we do that. And so, Mr. Ambassador, we hope we work together in identifying some of the things, especially scholarship for kids. Right? I talked about the boxing club. Anthony has a boxing club there in Uganda. Him and his dad run it, but they're not really structured very well. We want to see how we can work with them too. So this is what we're doing. We have a few things, and because we've been here for a long time, I want to talk about this a lot more. But I think these 4 things are enough for us to chew on. And I'm glad we're here. Sorry about our optics. We're going to things will get better. This is the beginning, but we'll get so much better. It's good we have some IT folks here, so they'll help us improve some of the things. And thank you so much for the time you're giving me. So invite Molly and Simi to come.
It's your time. And
USDC Cultural Center in the USA. UADC plans to look for grants, funding, and start an African museum showcasing mostly about the Ugandan culture. And we also intend to hold a boot camp, and that boot camp will be for youth during summer, and actually not necessarily youth. We could also work with senior citizens. Like me. No, you are senior youth. Joan, you're not yet a senior citizen. And excuse me. During the boot camp, the youths will be able to learn about the Ugandan culture, the history, the food. A person like me, I have a 5-year-old here. He doesn't know anything about Ugandan food. So if he got a chance to attend such a boot camp, by the time he's coming home, maybe he will know more than what I've taught him at home. The purpose of the Cultural Center would also help Uadc towards boosting our finances. No, it could be like a revenue for the organization. We could use it like to rent out offices. Somebody might want to hold like a birthday party, and they can use it to do different things. We also plan to have national offices at that place. How are we going to acquire the national offices? Yes, we are starting, but we are thinking big. We are going to work with like-minded organizations to look for funding. And when we get that funding, it will help us run most of the programs at the Cultural Center. I'm not trying to follow the slides because I know I have my contacts on one of the slides. I'll also share my email and my phone number. Anybody who wants to know more about the Cultural Center, I can always email them the slides for them to get to know more. I really don't want to hold you, ladies and gentlemen, for so long here because we've already been here too long. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming, and I look forward to serving Uadc. Thank you.
Very nice.